Greetings, my fellow carbon-based lifeforms. I am Protomolecule Nepgear, and welcome to an awesome speed build video. Today I'm building a destroyer called the USS Determination. Of course, I'm starting with the bow section, as you can see. This is how I like to build my ships. This is like my regular build style. As you can see, I'm building like the part of the hull that'll be under the waterline. That's the part that's red. So I'm just building that out real quick. Building the tip of the bow. I'm building this particular section of the bow. This is where the bow thrusters are going to go for maneuvering. I kind of just messed around with the bow thrusters. Add a little that stuff in there. Little those ducts. I'm adding more bow thrusters. I'm adding deco over that, just kind of hide it. Adding a little smaller bow thrusters in there, and well, adding deco over to hide that. Just kind of sealing that stuff up. Oh, and yes, I'm adding like a sonar in the bow, a little bit of sonar, because this ship uses torpedoes, so we need to direct the torpedoes. I eventually get rid of that passive sonar in the bow. Put them on the side eventually. You'll see that coming up. And also I put propellers on the keel for stability purposes. Those were our PID system. Right now I'm building the part of the hull that'll be above the waterline. That's the part that's in gray. I have like a darker bluish grayish transition line. The reason why I have the bow of the ship so high is because the bows can be very high, and then there's like about 4 meters of freeboard, 4 or 5 meters of freeboard on the bow, and there's like 3 on the stern. So I'm just kind of, yeah, the bow is completed pretty much. Now it's on to building the stern. So I try to make sure the stern's about 13 meters wide. That's the beam I'm going for. And I cut it down a little bit to make sure it's 13 meters. And you see me starting to build the stern. So I'm building it out, trying to get that right shape. Building the part that sticks out underneath the fantail. The stern's a little bit shorter than the bow, but I don't really care because the bow needs to be nice and long and sharp. The stern can be nice and squat and flat. Building a part of the bow, or stern I mean, they'll be above the water line. As you can see. Trying to make it sure it's the right shape. Now that those ends of the hull are completed, we go on to building the actual hull itself, and I use some prefabs. This is how I build my hulls, in case anyone wonders how I build these hulls. So I'm just going to make sure the ship is the right length. I'm just checking real quick. Now I'm adding the stern. Just adding a lead keel for stability purposes. I'm adding a more metal on the lower part of the hull. I'm designing it like that so I can add in like the PID system later on for stability purposes. Get rid of that stuff and put that in. Now we have a pretty much completed hull at this point. Now is for the fun part, adding in the turrets, which will come up later on. I'm adding in the passive sonar on the ship. I'm adding in the main battery gun turrets. We have 4 of them on this ship. Yeah, they're quite wide. I'm slapping down 4 of those main battery gun turrets. These are 5-inch guns. The ship will have 8 in total. I'm just kind of putting them down. I'm having some issues with them, but you know, FTD being a pain in the ass sometimes when I'm building ships. So I'm just kind of trying to fiddle around with that, try to make sure it goes in. I finally get turret 4 placed down. I'm just saving the ship real quick. And going to see how well the ship floats. As you can see, not so well. So that means we're going to have to add some air pumps. So I'm just putting some air pumps into the barbettes of the turrets to make sure they can float. I mean, the ship can float. Then I'm looking for my engine. Oh, there it is. There's my big old engine. So basically, I took inspiration from the Steel Strider's Argonaut when I built that engine. I basically just copied the engine from the Argonaut and just made it longer. The reason why I made it longer is to add more engine power to the ship, to get it up to the high speed I wanted to go. So I'm just kind of taking the engine apart, kind of do some prefab stuff. Little prefab wizardry going on here. Just kind of taking the rear, like, drive thingies, putting them further back in the ship. Oh, by the way, I'm cutting little shaft areas where I can run the shafts through to the propellers in the stern. I have to run them past the 2 aft barbettes. So I'm just kind of doing some prefab wizardry here. Get rid of those pistons, and then I'm just going to take that and slap a few of that down. Now we need to connect all the engine up properly. See me doing that. And yeah, we had to take out this boiler and just kind of like duplicate it, kind of like this, so it can fit into the limited space we have on the ship. And I'm adding a layer of armor to protect the engine, because you know we need that armor protection. See me here on doing some adding propellers, and I was about to do a little bottom surgery on the stern, adding the rudder, just to make sure the rudder's correct. I'm just kind of adding some compartmentalization to the engine room area, kind of just compartmentalizing everything. I eventually add in the where the ammo is going to be stored. This is where the ammo is going to be. So if you want to cause a big explosion on the ship, this is where you want to hit her. So I'm just covering that up real quick, and I get some stone ready to go for the AI box, where the AI is going to be. And yeah, you see me adding some deck armor to the engine room and some air pumps as well to make sure the ship floats right. As you can see, we need to add some AI, so I'm just kind of slapping that down real quick, getting it all set up. I don't set up the AI just yet, but I do set up the target prioritization stuff. You see me doing that, getting the target prioritization ready. And then it's time for PIDs. So I get those PIDs ready to go for stability purposes, because you know this tiny little ship needs to be stable. I was kind of fumbling around with AI stuff, but whatever. I'm getting the roll and pitch controls ready to go. And looks like it's time for some bottom surgery, so we're going to remove all that stuff right there and add in some propellers. These propellers are for roll control of the ship. And I go in to the stern and finally do some bottom surgery at the stern. This is for pitch control. Kind of like the ones at the bow, but this controls at the stern. And I'm going to add some more material storage in the bow section of the ship, and I'm starting to do a compartmentalization up in the bow. See me add like a deck up there. These compartments are for buoyancy and stuff. It's good to have compartmentalization on a ship. Helps make sure the ship can be buoyant, even after being shot to Swiss cheese, kind of. Just kind of adding some compartments in there, and the ship floats pretty well. But there's some issues. The turrets don't work, really. I mean, there's no ammo for them. The forward turrets can't even turn properly because they're not at the right level. So I just copy in the ammo I had on my building platform. Andrew and David shipyards. This is my building platform, and I copy that into the ship. See me just assigning it stuff. Then I take the turret cap of turret number 1, and I copy that into a prefab, and I decapitate the turret, and then I take the neck and extend it up, slap it back on there. Then I do some stuff where I add some recoil absorption, some armor, the front end of the turret, kind of protect the neck. And I do a similar thing to turret 2 where I just chop the cap off, do some decapitation here, and just increase the length of the neck, slap it back on, make sure it can turn properly. Then I do some stuff to protect the turret neck and add some recoil absorption as well. Make sure I have the ammo and the right settings on stuff, on the guns. Here I'm adding the ammunition, because these guns are useless without the ammunition, right? I mean, you kind of want ammunition for these APS guns. I'm renaming the ammunition on the customizer to make sure I have the right one, because it's kind of getting confused back there. I thought I would get confused back there, that's why I'm making sure it's correct. Have like frag in one gun, AP in one other gun, or HE I mean, high explosive. Then I'm going to armor up the necks of the turrets with metal beams. Basically, I'm just making sure the stuff is at the right setting. Doing that with turret 4 back there. Turret 4's neck does not need to be extended, it's at the right level. And then I'm just going to go in and get rid of turret 3 and place turret 1 back there and copy it from the forward of the ship to the back. It's basically at the same level as turret 1, so might as well. I'm just kind of shaping the superstructure stuff back there. I'm going in to change the settings they have for the weapon group to put on number 1, because I want all the turrets and the guns to be on weapon group number 1. It's just better that way. So just testing everything, testing the guns a little bit. See me firing the guns. They work correctly. They're up to my standards. Now the next thing I do is start building the forecastle, or the forecastle of the ship, the forward end. Start building the deck, kind of extend it back a bit. Then I have that slope. And then I add a little notch in there for the forward funnel, which I'm going to add in later. I'm starting to build the forward superstructure. You see me building that thing. I'm kind of just building around turret 2, testing, see if the turrets rotate, which they do. And then I'm just building more of the forward superstructure, as you can see, more of the decks. Now here's where the bridge is going to be at. I'm constructing the bridge, adding some like railing things around the bridge wings. Building more of the forward superstructure tower area. Kind of making sure it's just the right shape. I'm adding in the doors. Yeah, I'm not 100% on my superstructures. I'm pretty okay with them, but it takes me a while to get them right, like this one does. I'm just kind of fumbling around with it, adding some those plate things on there. Oh, and this is where I'm gonna place the rangefinder thingy. And I have to mess around with the superstructure to shave it down a bit to make sure turret 2 can rotate. But I just quickly do that real quick. fire the guns a little bit, test them. So I take my rangefinder thingy, my prefab from the fortress, and slap it on there. I test my guns, and I save my ship, restart the designer, and there we go. Now this is where I'm going to continue my build. So I'm going to start building the deck of the ship. So this is going to be reinforced decking we're going to have. So I start building more of the deck towards the stern. I eventually fill in the fantail. As you can see, I'm just adding more deck stuff, adding the fantail, the alloy deck. Then I start building the funnel. First I go for a curved funnel, like a slanted funnel back, but then I quickly realize, like, yeah, this is not my speed. I'm not gonna have a funnel like this. So just kind of just start building like a straight funnel. And I'm actually liking the way the funnel turned out. So just kind of make it more curved shape. Add some like slopes in there to make it look better. This is more of a World War II aesthetic design, because I'm building ships that are World War II aesthetic for my campaign. So this is kind of why the ship looks the way she does. And you see me starting to build the main mast. I kind of connect it up to the superstructure a little bit. Those legs, they kind of bite me in the butt later on, but as of right now, they look pretty good. Testing the guns a little bit in the designer. And I took a torpedo launcher off of one of my existing ships, the my Emily class destroyer, and put on my cruiser. I mean, my destroyer, my current destroyer design. I do intend on using those on a cruiser design as well, but that's like the sequel to this. So I'm adding a aft superstructure now. This is where the aft funnel and mast will go. Adding in the aft torpedo launcher. See? Slapping that baby down. Making sure the missile controller settings are correct. Just adding like an extension there. I'm going to put some point defense stuff. Here I am using the power of prefabs to copy the funnel. Just kind of adding a deck on top of the aft superstructure. It turned out the wrong orientation, so I'm just kind of fixing that. And yeah, then I'm going to add an extra deck to the aft superstructure. This is be a place where I'm going to place anti-missile missile launcher for defending the ship against cram missile attacks. And I also build some emplacements for the point defense guns around there. Recoloring in the torpedo launchers to kind of make them match with the rest of the ship. Make them the same color as the transition line between the water line and the topside section of the ship. So yeah, I'm done coloring that in. And I'm going to finish shaping the aft superstructure, kind of shaving it down a little bit and adding an emplacement right there for point defense. Just kind of making it shaped correctly, making it more aesthetically pleasing. And I add another emplacement right there. This is the reason why I shaved down the mast legs, is because of that. So I'm adding some CWIS controllers on there. Adding an air pumps to the stern and kind of compartmentalizing the stern a little bit. This is for adding buoyancy, and I also do the same for the bow. Add those air pumps in there. So I'm finishing up the aft superstructure a little bit. Kind of finishing up and adding a CWIS controller. I mean, it's a normal controller. I eventually fix it to a CWIS controller or something like that. Or no, it's normal controller. The COS controller is where the missiles are at. Missile controller's at, but whatever. The ship ran out of materials, so I had to refill it. Here I am adding more storage to the ship in the stern. What an awesome place to put storage. It's a nice boxy area on the ship. And we need some detection equipment for defensive stuff like munition warners. I mean, you need to know where that stuff's coming towards you that could make you have big ouch. So, like cram and missiles. So, you need some way to detect that stuff so you can defend yourself. So I'm starting to build the launcher for the missiles, the anti-missile missiles and missile interceptors, which will be used to defend the ship. So right now I'm just setting that baby up. Just kind of make sure it just gets set up. Yeah. I'm gonna go down to the, nope, I'm just gonna add some detection to the mast, the main mast up here. So you see me like adding some AI and stuff up there. The radar. Radar looks pretty great. Add some laser warners. Just in case those Neptunian virtual stars freaks, the lightning hoods decide to laser me. I know what to do. Just use smoke. The smoke I'm adding to the ship. They'll protect the determination from being lasered to death. Just kind of saving the ship. And now I have finally add fire restrictions to the turrets. Always, 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 people, add fire restrictions to your gun turrets. Your superstructure will thank you. Always add fire restrictions. You don't want your gun turrets being snagged on the superstructure, do you? If you don't want that, always add fire restrictions like what I'm doing in this video. Not exactly what I'm doing, but like, just make sure your turrets don't slap into the superstructure when it comes to combat. I knew I was going to throw the ship into the gauntlet of combat a little bit, but I had to make sure the fire restrictions were right, especially on these smaller guns. These are my point defense emplacements, the cram crackers, which are inspired by a system that Gmodesem made. No, they're the exact same bloody thing. Exact same idea. Thank you, Gmodesem, by the way. You inspired the cram crackers on pretty much all my ships. Or whichever ships I bother to use them on. I'll probably be using this on my light cruiser and heavy cruiser and probably my battleships as well. Even though I'll probably just put like a dedicated LAM system on the battleships. Even my light cruiser might get a LAM soon. This ship does not get a LAMs. LAMs means anti-munition laser, or laser anti-munition. That's what it means. System. So I'm just setting up the fire restrictions for the point defense guns. I basically use them like point defense weapons to protect the ship against like shells and whatnot. Saving the ship again. Deleting Emily. Saving her up again. And taking a screenshot. And then I'm adding the fooling around with the AI. This is a broadsider ship, by the way. So I'm just making sure the ship can like do what she needs to do in combat in terms of broadside. Turn the AI on. Just having the ship sail around. The ship has a top speed of about 37 meters per second. I know, it's a little disappointing, but hey. Now we're adding some railings. You don't want people to fall off, right? So we're just gonna add some more railings. More railings than you would ever see anywhere in the Star Wars galaxy. Because apparently George Lucas doesn't like railings in this franchise. Or just likes the idea of stupid Imperials falling to their deaths. Anyways, just slap more railings on my ship. Or on the bow. And we have a splash deflector before turret 1. So I think the ship looks pretty great so far. But she's missing something. A nameplate. Or rather a name projector, so I'm just adding that in real quick. USS Determination. That's the name of the ship. I know I already had a ship named USS Determination, but this is the one I'm building for my campaign. Then I'm just going to add some projectors into the superstructure to project the number of the ship. So the ship is designated DD-1, meaning it's the first destroyer of my fleet. And I'm doing that on the opposite side of the ship. Yeah, that point defense gun got a little messed up, so I'm just fixing it real quick. Just kind of faffing around with it, making sure it does not get snagged on that funnel. Make sure the fire restrictions are correct. And correct on that one as well. And I'm just gonna add, some, that's supposed to be like for air ventilation. But like, I kinda got rid of it. And I decided to slap some pipes on the ship instead for aesthetic purposes. These are kind of just decoration. Kind of like showing like the pipes that funnel the smoke into the funnels or ventilate air. I'm just coloring in the bridge wings the right color, so red is port, green is starboard. Just kind of saving the ship. And we see the ship sailing the seas right now. And thank you for watching to the end of this video. Protomolecule Nepgear, signing out. I will see you in the campaign when that happens.